Welcome back, guys, and today we are looking at NECA's Ultimate Pee Wee Herman. When I saw this was coming out for Haulathon, I kind of wanted it, but I wasn't convinced yet. And honestly, what kind of tipped the scales for me, I watched the HBO Max documentary with Paul Reubens, and it reminded me of how much I loved the character of Pee Wee Herman. And with his passing, I just kind of want him up on the shelf to memorialize that time or memories I had watching the Pee-wee's Playhouse show, or mostly Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like, even nowadays, I'll watch that movie at least once a year. I used to quote it all the time as a kid, now even sometimes as an adult, but I just really wanted to have some representation on myself of Pee-wee, and I love this guy. And Paul Reubens got a bad rap. If you're not familiar with his whole story, definitely convince you to go watch that documentary. But again, I have profound memories of him. So not just as Pee-wee, but I remember when he would pop up in little cameos in movies. Yeah, Batman Returns, Matilda, Dunstan Checks In. I just remember whenever I would see him, I automatically knew, oh, that's that guy that plays Pee-wee. As a kid, I didn't know it was Paul Reubens. Later on, I learned. But anyways, let's go ahead and check this out. Now, the box is not the most collector-friendly, which I'm not a fan of. I get why they had to do it. They put these stickers here and here, which is annoying because you can't really look in the window and see the figure, but I get it, because if this was flapping out, I can see a lot of people on the shelves messing with it and breaking it, so they would probably have to discount this guy a lot. So a necessary evil. However, I would have just rather they maybe design the box a little different. It is cool that it's an opening door, but it does limit what you can see from the box. You have Pee-wee on top holding his little NECA sign, which would normally be the word of the day in the show. So I think that's funny. Then you have this awesome maximalist, super late 80s, early 90s design. All those colors. That's my aesthetic. That's my favorite. Now, you do have some product shots on the back. I don't think I'm crazy of the head sculpts just yet, so we'll give it a better look. And you got Terry right there, and it says what it includes. Terry, the secret word cards, interchangeable hands and head, so that's good. And then a full product shot on the side. Again, I love this design. It was always super wacky. All the colors. It felt like you were in a crayon box when you were either looking at Pee-wee's house in Pee-wee's Big Adventure or in Pee-wee's Playhouse, the show, which I always thought was really cool. So can't really see the figure from here, so let's go ahead and cut these open and we'll take a look at the window before opening this figure. So now I'm going to try to be real careful opening this, but I don't know, it doesn't seem too friendly to me. Yeah, so I already messed that up. So once you get it off, it could peel right there. So maybe let me just try it with my finger. But this sticker's cool. It actually has Pee-wee on it. I might try to keep that and put it on my water bottle. So actually, I'm going to try to salvage that one. Okay, so once you get those stickers peeled off, now we can see what's inside. Yeah, as soon as you bend this, it's going to kind of ruin the box. So that kind of stinks. But I can see why they did it now. So, all right. Got a lot of cool goodies in there. Let's go ahead and get Pee-wee out. Let's check this figure out. Okay, we got a nice tray of different things in here, but first, let's take a look at this backdrop. Super cool. This is the entrance to Pee-wee's Playhouse. Those flowers there, those are puppets. Then, I guess even the window was with the mouth moving, but this would be a cool die to make. I just don't know how I would do the door. That's like the back of a leather cushion or the interior of a car. It has that raised, kind of leathery texture with all the buttons and the dimples. So I don't know how I would pull that off, but maybe there's sections of Pee-wee's Playhouse that I can actually pull off in a diorama. So cool slip cover if you want to use this as a backdrop. Okay, we got the late great Paul Reubens Pee Wee Herman out of the box. And this look is my favorite, and we'll go over that in a little bit, but I think they really nailed it on this head sculpt. To me, that has that famous Pee-wee smirk right there, and I really think they did an awesome job with the likeness. They mostly do. I will say those latest Wednesday figures that came out, I would have definitely bought them because I love that show. And when they came out, I said, nope, that is a miss. They look terrible. But good old Pee Wee here, he looks amazing. Classic gray suit, white shirt, red bow tie. I mean, this is what makes Pee Wee Pee Wee. Every now and then he'd wear something else, but this is what we most know him for, which is awesome. And the white shoes, of course. So this is a character he created as a comedy bit, kind of like a prop comic like Carrot Top, and it just kind of stuck. And then he had the opportunity to do a children's show that took off, and then the movie. So always a big part of my childhood. So let's get into the looks of this figure. I already mentioned this head sculpt is my favorite. Love it. Love the design of the suit, of course. You know, we've seen this on NECA figures before, so I don't expect most articulation from there, but you got some nice creases in the jacket, on the arms, and then going down the legs too. You got all those creases in there and those details. I don't know if this is a reused buck from any other figure. It might be, but I think it looks really great. So you even got some creases on the back. That looks really cool. So great job on design. I think this face, I mean, that's Pee Wee. Looks great. I don't know what's up with the paint though. It looks a little like feathered, like it doesn't look smooth. So I guess that would be my only complaint, is that you could tell this was painted. Obviously they paint all their figures, but it just looks a little grainy, and I don't know why. So I just wish it was a little smoother texture, but I don't know if that's just my figure or if that's how all of them are. Next up, let's look at articulation. Not that I expect this guy to move all so well. His neck is on a ball joint, and then he has some great movement down, and then not so much up. His hairline hits the collar of the shirt. You can get his arms up right about there, and most of the suited bodies for NECA at least are on single jointed elbows, so no different here. A single joint and then a swivel there, and then he has a hinge at the wrist, and then it turns there. I'm not going to even try to articulate his waist because I'm assuming there's not much going on there. And then legs, if you did want to give him the splits, his jacket's going to get in the way. Up, so again, the tail of the jacket getting hindered there. But it is a single jointed knee. Reminds me of the Casey Jones sweatpants that everyone loves so much. And then can get it up to about there before it gets stopped there. Now the one thing, I remember at the beginning NECA would do these and it would be pointing out. I hated that. So at least it's matching up with the roundedness of the knee. You're not going to be getting Pee Wee into any crazy action poses. So don't think it's a big deal. Articulation, kind of exactly what I expect on this guy. And then it does have a hinge and an ankle rocker. So overall, what else do you need from Pee Wee? I think he looks great. Phenomenal out of the package. Let's see what else this guy comes with. So the more I look at some of the other head sculpts, you know, this one's not too bad. This is more the shocked or scared or surprised. Pee Wee, you know, he was he had very intense facial expressions. So I think this one's pretty good. Not my go-to one that I would display it with, but this one even too suffers from some of that rough painting. I don't know why. Some bleed on the hairline. So I just wish that it didn't. It looks like all these figures have rosacea, if you know what I'm talking about. And then here's the third head sculpt you get. So kind of half open, half closed mouth there. You know, to me, this is when Pee Wee's given sass. So I can just picture him talking to Francis in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. You know, when he's saying, "My bike's not for sale, Francis." This is the kind of face that he would make right before saying, "I know you are, but what am I?" Typical Pee Wee. Again, this one's a little smoother on this side, but then the rosacea happens to exist on that side of the face. So that's kind of a bummer for the figure. But, you know, one thing I think they nailed on all of them are the rosy cheeks. I mean, this guy created this look, and those rosy cheeks are apparent on all of the head sculpts, which is really cool. So now you do get a set of open hands, so he comes with a few things to hold. I mean, really not much. Comes with a wide open grip hand, comes with these tight gripping hands, and these are for something very specific, which I think is kind of the letdown of this figure. He does come with 2 words of the day, one being NECA, which is some kind of shameless self-promotion, and the other one saying Ultimate. So, you know, these would say things like fun, or they'd be a color, or Christmas, whatever it was. This is just cardstock. This is nothing fancy at all. You can make these on your own. So, accessory-wise, he probably could have came with a lot more. This doesn't do it for me. But you can make these. This is nothing. And then I guess you can consider this a 2-pack because he comes with another character, Terry, who has about, I'm going to say 4 points of articulation. So his wings flap, so that's cool. I think his mouth, yep, his mouth opens, and then he does have a ball joint on his head. Design-wise, you know, this one has a little bit of a rough painting texture, but it's supposed to be a puppet. So that's fine because it's supposed to look like felt. But always a cool character. You know, this guy's really light on accessories, and one of the reasons I was hesitant to buy him was because of things that this guy didn't come with, which makes me think they're going to either release this guy with more accessories, or they're going to release him as a deluxe with other things. So what are some of those other things that I think he can probably come with? I think maybe if they were going to release it as its own figure or a big box set, I think Pee-wee needs to come with Cherry. I think that is a quintessential character of Pee-wee's Playhouse where I would have liked to see him come with Pee-wee. So I don't know if Cherry is going to be its own deluxe figure, if it's going to get made at all. But that would have been a great... I would have bought a 2-pack if that was the case. Like, I would have bought a big, giant 2-pack. The other thing that made me hesitant to buy this figure immediately was I feel like they're probably going to release him again, and they're going to release him with the bike from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And truly, that is what I'd really like to see, because having Pee-wee without his bike just kind of feels weird. So I'm not going to buy this figure again. This is a one and done for me. You know, if I got this Pee-wee, I don't need the bike, but the bike would have looked so cool. They probably could have reused pieces from that like motorcycle for Casey Jones that made no sense. Just put that little tiger head on it. Would have been real cool. So I'm not going to buy it again, but just kind of thinking in the future, what else could they release Pee-wee with if they were going to do more Pee-wee figures? Now, the real-life Elvira was actually friends with the real-life Pee-wee Herman, so I'm going to display them together. Now, these are both Ultimates figures, but man, Elvira's just towering over him. Now, I don't know if this is true to scale, and I don't know if it's just her wig that's making her look super tall, the high heels, but I don't feel like she would be this much bigger than Pee-wee. So if we're talking Ultimates, she's probably oversized. So they're supposed to like live in a world together on my shelf, and it's gonna look a little funky, but since they were best friends in real life, I'm gonna put them right next to each other. So glad to give Elvira a buddy there. So how about you guys? Did you pick up this Ultimate NECA Pee-wee Herman? Happy to have it in my collection, and brings me back to the old toys from the 80s, the pull string doll, Cherry. Really just happy to get this guy on the shelf. So if you picked him up, let me know. And until the next episode, we'll catch you next time.